Thank you for that question a lot too, because I think there is, as I hear, there's a huge difference between videographers and cinematographers and what they do, and sometimes there's a clash between like the difference and things like that. So thank you. I have a question. Okay. So we'll go with the person at the back again. Thanks.
Hi. First of all, shout out to Kylie. She's amazing. As most of you talked about diversity and inclusion, and knowing where each of you are in the stage of your career, how intentional and purposeful are you in terms of setting the elevator down?
Love that.
That's a great question. It's a loaded question.
Who wants to answer first?
Yeah. Anyone want to answer first?
All right. Okay. All right. I'll go first. I guess I kind of touched on it earlier. Like, it is very, very important to me, and I always make sure that I prioritize like hiring people of color, women, LGBT. But I felt like a couple of years ago, I used to like look for those specific people to fill certain roles, but I feel like naturally my circle kind of became that. So it's like the talented people around me are that. It wasn't like I'm looking for women for this thing. It's just like the talented person that I want is just a female. You know what I mean? So I feel like, yeah, it's super important. Like, honestly, it's like we kind of have to help ourselves before we expect others. Like, we can't just be like, oh, there's not enough female, like, men, hire us. It's more so like we also can hire people. Like, my gaffer picks their best as well. Like, it's like I might hire one person, but they also can hire other people. So I think, yeah, I definitely try to send the elevator down as much as I can. And then there's times where like you really can't, and then the times that you can't, there's also still like another way. Like, maybe I couldn't get the female gaffer that I wanted, but maybe like they can be like a second, and that person can like learn under that gaffer, and then eventually when like they've learned enough under that gaffer, then it's like, okay, now you can gaff like this other project. So I think it's still like finding a way to include everyone, even if they can't like key or be like a department head yet.
Yeah. Thanks. Does anyone else want to take on the question as well?
It's pretty solid.
Oh,
yeah,
solid. Actually, my drop.
All right, I answered for everyone.
It's more so a question about your mindset and how you feel like that, what you feel that differentiating factor was in your mindset that got you where you are now.
That's also a good question.
Yeah.
I'm not going first this time.
I think I need that question one more time.
What was the direct, like, what's the thing that you feel separates you from someone else who maybe isn't quite at that level yet in terms of mindset?
Well, at least for me, is again, it goes back to like the film industry in general. I feel that I've since I had the opportunity of being in a country that had those opportunities for me, I was so hungry. I kept going. Even if I had scenarios where I had directors being not very polite in terms of my skills at the time, it's growth. It's keeping going. You know, there's some moments that you're obviously like Nicole said, and you're like, what am I doing right now? Where's my life going? You know, but for me, that I feel that what made me, you know, get to this point was I kept going. Truly, I kept writing, I kept pitching, I kept going, and I did not want to stop, and I would not stop.
Anyone else would like to answer?
Okay, I'll add something to that. Okay, I think for me, just giving myself like a lot of grace. Like, I know some people went like the film school route, like I didn't go the film school route, so I feel like because of that, I'm kind of like teaching myself, so it's kind of like failing forward, like making certain mistakes and like not making the same ones. And I think, honestly, yeah, just giving myself grace, being like, you're gonna make mistakes, everyone's gonna make mistakes, but just like keep making less of like the same ones, and just like, honestly, being motivated by like your why. Like, I know people say that all the time, but for me, it's like, I want financial freedom. Like, I want to retire my mom. So I think about all those things, and I don't like listen to like the little people, because there's gonna be people that are gonna say things or try to bring you down, but I'm like, well, your words are gonna get my mom a house or make my mom not get her house, you know? So yeah, just grace and just like keep going.
Love that. I also didn't come from the film school background, so I feel like the mindset or that motivation or the drive is very much, I just spent 4 years getting a kinesiology degree. Like, I need to catch up. So it was like, I think there's like a fire there of not feeling behind, but like, oh my God, there's so much to learn. And mindset-wise, when you feel that way, sometimes it can feel like this huge mountain, and you're like, oh my god, there's so much to know, and I don't know any of it. What I'm like, there's a huge hill to climb. And so you can either look at that in fear, or you can look at that and be like, this is gonna be a wild ride. It's gonna be so exciting. So it's just continuously like being grateful for that. You're gonna keep learning, you're gonna keep like fail forward, fail fast, fail forward, like all of the things Ashley said, like totally agree. It's the mindset, the growth mindset, all that stuff. Like I don't know if you guys are reading those psychology books and whatever of the growth mindset, but yeah, just always being able to be adaptable and see that mountain. Like you'll get there, but like the journey is what's important. That's what they say. So
awesome, thank you. Is there a question here? And then we'll, okay. All right. Sorry. Yeah.
So during the beginning, you mentioned that you were tech savvy. So to what extent does technology play? To what extent does it impact your work?
That's a good question. I think it just means like learning all the new technology that keeps coming out. Like every couple months there's a new camera with new features that we should probably be knowing about, or how much we can push dynamic range and all that. But for me, yeah, it's just I keep learning. Like AI is a huge thing that's coming out, and I think that's going to have a huge impact on our industry. So I'm trying to learn more about it and how we can integrate it and not have it work against us. But I would just say I'm just constantly learning and seeing what else is out there.
Thanks. I saw your hand. Go ahead.
Hi. Not to bring things down, but the reality being that this is still, unfortunately, such a male-dominated industry. My question is, what's the biggest challenge or conflict you've experienced in occupying or carving out your spaces, and how did you overcome it?
Yo, you guys are really hitting us today with these questions.
I can go. All right. Are you asking about a specific scenario? Do you want like a open mic? Okay, here we go. I think it's like, especially when you're working, let's say, with male key roles that have been doing that specific role for a while, and when a new female steps on set, sometimes it can be a bit triggering for certain males. And I'm not making names, it's the reality of things. And I've had scenarios specifically for example, my G&E team, you know, like they maybe wouldn't even expect, sometimes you just walk on set and you just meet your crew for the first time, depending on the project. It's really rare, but sometimes for agency jobs, that's the reality. And I've had scenarios where I have to like smarten up my gaffer, for example, and be like, no, this is exactly where it's gonna go. So it's up to you with grace, obviously, and you have to be polite on set and all that jazz, but you know, as a woman, it's very important that you put your foot down in certain spaces, because you are the key role. You are running that production, so yeah.
I'd actually like to hear from everyone, if you don't mind going next.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing I ever had to navigate was the locker room situation. I actually had to be escorted in every single time before a game for me to even just be there. It was just a huge like cloud over people's heads. They didn't know what to do, and then for me at least, like, you know, I could either go negatively and be like, oh, because I'm a woman, you're treating me this way, or I'm just like, you know what, if I treat the players and the team and the staff with respect, then they'll give it right back to me. It took me a month, and they're like, okay, go in. So you just kind of have to let them know, like, you're here to do your job. I'm not here to like look at what's going on. so yeah, just be respectful, be professional, and yeah, they know you're here to do a job and you do it well, and that's all it takes.
I'm trying to think of a specific scenario. This whole time I've been like racking my brain, like, okay, think of something too. But I'll actually put myself in the like villain seat, because there is a scenario where I think this was like 2020 something, I don't know, this was years ago. And I remember I was producing for TEDx, and it was like, you know, talking heads, it was a long day, whatever, and I hired all my crew. It was a great day. It's like 2 hours in, and I look around, and I'm like, oh, I'm the only girl here, and I did the hiring. So I was like, oh, I guess I should probably start thinking about that. So, but at the same time, like I noticed 2 hours in, like it wasn't like a huge, oh my God, and hiring the people that you always work with and that you trust, right? So, because there's not a lot of us, I guess the pool of people that you would pick from that are women is obviously smaller, and so my go-to people were guys, and they're still like my best friends. They're great people. I've had honestly really great experiences. I wouldn't be here today without like the support of men, because those are the people in the decision-making chairs most of the time. So yeah, that was a turning point for me when I looked internally and was like, okay, if I'm going to be in this producer position and hire people, I will have that top of mind for next time. And I really try to do that, but in the same like fashion that Ashley was saying, where the people you surround yourself with just happen to be talented. They're there, so it's very much about that crew and that social circle that you're in. And if it wasn't for that moment, there probably would be something along the line that would have checked me. I would have had to consciously, start actually hiring women. And I think that goes to show that talent and skill set is, again, important. I want to stress that, but optics are so equally important, because when we all saw someone that was higher up and we were like, oh my God, she can do it, like that helps so much. The visibility of just seeing someone in that role, it's like, wow, like you feel included, you feel inspired to actually do the thing that they're doing. So yeah, that's I guess it's not like a horrible story, but like, yeah.
Check yourself.
I check myself, so yeah, if we're in that position to hire, it's like, we gotta take responsibility for that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And like, I think that also goes to show, like, you had to kind of pause and look at the crew you're hiring and see like, okay, something has to change. And I think that's where like we're at a time now where a lot of people in these higher up positions are realizing like something has to change. I have to see something new. I want to bring more people and highlight them differently, or let those people highlight themselves. So I think that's an awesome like reflection to have. And also sorry to hear about like that story, because that's just crazy to me.
I know.
Yeah, crazy to me. But okay, we have 3 more questions. I just want to do a time check. How's everyone feeling? Everyone's good. We have refreshments. I think is here. So as soon as the Q&A is over, there'll be drinks at the back, and then yeah, I'll let you guys. I won't hold you guys hostage. So I'll go over here. The gentleman over here. Yes.
2 questions.
Okay.
Somewhat rolling off from the barriers. Essentially some advancements that are starting to happen that are a bit more focused on female identifying. Like for example, they started making female easy rigs, female bigger rigs. You can also even introducing intimacy coordinators as a barrier for a lot of the very awful things that have happened in the past. I'd say. What might be something that people don't necessarily notice, but is still kind of a barrier, but a barrier that is more oriented towards female non-binary folks?
Easy rigs. If you know me and you know the value of your cause, like, yeah, oh my God. So, where do I begin? Essentially, what happens when you shoot with these big cameras is you need support. You need ergonomic support for your actual body type. And so every single time that I would go on set, there would be an easy rig that would have a clip here, and they would have either a belt buckle or whatever on your hips. And that's the backpack thing that you guys see when you attach it to your camera and whatever. So it alleviates weight from your arms. And I remember trying one on, and I'm like, oh, this is still really heavy. Like, this kind of hurts. This is not supposed to, this doesn't feel like how it looks, like it's working. So I remember, like, I guess, I don't know, when was that? Like 3 weeks ago or so? Yeah, something like that. I went to a studio to literally try, I think I tried like 6 or 7 vests. I'm not even kidding. There was a photo of all of them on the floor, and none of them fit me. And I was like, dude, like, I just want to carry a camera. Yeah. So I did actually reach out to Easy Rig, and they gave me like a combination that would make sense. And so there's something called a flex vest, which is like a Velcro thing that goes over your chest, and the waist of it is smaller. And I was even thinking, like, aren't there guys that have smaller builds? Like, why is this not, like, it was very interesting. So in general, like, equipment sometimes is not built for everybody's body. Like, it's there's so many adjustments and customizations that you might have to make when you're, you know, looking into specific gear. So I'm so glad you asked, because yeah, I'm literally going through that dilemma right now, and I'm hoping that with this configuration that Easy Rig recommended, that it does work, but it's a hurdle because rental houses don't have that combo easily accessible. I can't just be like, oh yeah, there was one, I went to a rental house, I won't say the name, but I went to a rental house. Yeah, I won't say. And I picked up an Easy Rig that was a smaller one, and it literally said Lady Rig in Sharpie on it. And I was like, yo, like, what? Like,
Not the lady rig.
Yeah.
not the Lady Rig. It's a flex vest. Like, call it what it is. I don't know. Anyway. So it's just annoying because then now I have to go and call every rental house and see who has each part and build it together. Like, that's not accessible or fun. I don't want to do that. So I wish it was a little easier. That's a huge limitation right now. So yeah.
Thank you for that question. And that's so true. I never even thought about the accessibility of it all, because our body types are different. If there's somebody slightly bigger or someone slightly smaller, but they do want to hold the vest and have the camera be comfortable while they're working, it's not as accessible in that way. So yeah, it's good to know.
Yeah, it's important to just be safe. Like, yeah, if you're carrying these heavy rigs, like, you're gonna burn your back out right away. So if you have to make sure that things fit, and if they don't, like, you're gonna feel it the next 2 or 3 weeks after. So.
Did you have a question before? I know your hand was up. Sorry.
I guess just like on the way up to be a DOP, especially if you go to film school, how do you know when to not overstep if you're like a PA, and like when can you ask questions? Like, how do you learn and find that balance on set? Because, you know, everyone's there to do the job, and like with you it's completely different, but like be helpful but not overstep.
Kylie or Sophia, do you want to take this?
I can jump in. I love that this question came from you, actually. Jess is also one of my first ACs and the second AC for a lot of my productions. I will bring this back to you, actually, Jess. Like, when I think one of the first productions that we worked together, you were actually a PA or a camera trainee, something around those terms. I think, obviously, there's time and place for everything. You know, obviously, if you see your, you know, first AC or a DOP, you know, building something dangerous, you know, like cues that you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't bother them right now. Obviously, come pretty natural, but there's always time and place. You know, obviously, cinematography. I can speak for myself. I love when people ask me questions because I was that person. I wish I could help, you know, younger female filmmakers in general to know what I wanted to know years ago when I first started. But I think sometimes I can speak, again, this is for myself, sometimes I'd rather hire someone that shows me that they really want it, they are attentive, you know, like just even like last weekend, you know, you're my right arm. You're always there, making sure that I was safe, and you're asking questions, you know, we're talking about your future projects. You know, I will always want people on set like that, and I'd rather hire someone that is interested and shows me that they want it, rather someone that maybe has a bit more expertise and they're not as nice on set. So, yeah.
Something to add. Oh, I was gonna say, like, also, us being department heads, like, we can kind of like set the tone and the environment for our crew. So, like, for me, whenever, like on the first day of set, I always tell everyone, like, this is an egoless set. Like, I don't think I'm above anyone. I'm open to anyone's like ideas, and like, you know, we can all kind of like collaborate together, but there's also like a time and place, you know? It's like, don't yell out your idea, but if you have an idea or something, it's just kind of like, hey, like, why don't we try this? Or like, this might be a better way to do X, Y, and Z. But also like being a warm enough person that people feel comfortable to like come up to you with that type of stuff. And then just being like a cinematographer that puts safety first, so that anyone knows, like, if something's unsafe, they know, like, oh, I can just go to that DP, because they prioritize the safety of the crew.
Thank you. Any last words, Kylie, Nicole?
You guys did the same face. You guys did the same face.
Waving hand. We have a waving hand. So like,
waving hand, sorry.
Don't just wave it.
Sorry.
That's funny.
That I would be working 24/7. Like you think like, oh yeah, like I'm not gonna work a 9 to 5. I'm gonna work 24/7. That's exactly what it is, and it's because you're so passionate about it. And I don't know, all of us, like, we just work our butts off. Like, we're just always working, even if we're not physically at a computer, we're not physically holding a camera, we're thinking. Like, we're here, we're like, even when we were back there, we're like, oh, we could use some like softer feature back here. It's just like, it's always you're always thinking about it, and it just shows like how passionate we all are about it. Like, we love what we do, so it's not a bad thing that we're working 24/7, but it's just something to be mindful. Like, you're gonna be obsessed with this because it's so much fun, but sometimes the obsession gets a lot, and you're like, oh my god, I need a break. I need to like live life. Like Kylie was saying before, like, I need my weekends, you know. So there's a balance, and when you're freelance and independent, you can control that. You are your own boss. Like, you can set your deadlines or your break time. Yeah.
Thank you. Kylie, would you like to answer this next?
Yeah, I guess it's just like you're never complacent. You're always looking for the next project, or like, how can I grow my own company? Like, you know, I take my weekends, but it's constantly in the back of my head. I'm like, I'm chilling right now. I'm watching Netflix, but I should probably be working towards something. So it's constant, like Nicole said.
Or you're like analyzing the scene that you're watching on Netflix. So bad.
But yeah, I mean, there's a fine line between knowing you want to do more and living your own life. So I advocate for that a lot. And yeah, we all kind of need to learn that.
Thank you. I struggle with work-life balance, so definitely understand that a lot. It's definitely 24/7. We have some more questions, so we'll just keep going for a bit.
More like a fun one. So if you had a time machine, would you go to the future to see where you're going to be, or would you go to the past and tell yourself at your starting point, like, what to look forward to getting into this industry?
Good questions.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I don't think I would want to know the future. I want to live those steps. But nor going back, to be honest. I think that every path is different. Every filmmaker's path is different. Mine was long. It was tremendous. But I'm learning every day. Like, every day that I go on set, I'm nervous. I'm making sure that everybody's happy. I'm making sure that I got from the small little piece that we need to my Dana Dolly, you know? And I think that sometimes we just need to just like stop and be grateful, because if all of us that are here, you know, it's because, as Nicole said, we all work really, really hard. And yeah, I think I wouldn't go back or forward.
I'd probably go to the past and tell myself to stop stressing out over every little thing. Like, every situation I was in was kind of like do or die for me. I'm like, I have to get the shot or else I'm not good. So I was like running from spot to spot, being like, I gotta get it, or they're gonna not hire me anymore. So yeah, I think I'd go to the past and just be like, calm down, like, just take a breath, it'll be fine.
We all answering it? Okay. Alright, cool. I think I'd probably go to the future, just because I feel like I'm an accumulation of all my like past decisions, and I wouldn't really want to change like who I am or my foundation. Yeah. So I think I'd rather like look to the future and see, like, you know, what's happening over there.
I don't know. Like, I definitely don't want to go back, because then I'm gonna change based on that. Like, I'm thinking now logically of this question. This is supposed to be a fun question. He wants a fun answer, I know.
Fun question, fun answer.
Stop stressing out.
I don't know. It would be, I think it's motivating to see what the future is gonna look like. Like, ideally it's it's something I like. Ideally I'm gonna see something that I'm gonna keep striving for. But yeah, if I were to go to the past though, same as Kylie, like it's not that deep. Like we're creating art. Like, you know, if tensions get high on set, it's like, for what? Like, we gotta make our day, but like let's continue to create such a good and like flow, like a good flow and a good vibe to your sets, because yeah, it's just not that deep. That's what I would say to my past self. It's not deep. Yeah, just keep having fun. Like, yeah, exactly.
I love that, and I can definitely attest to I always stress out. As I'm a videographer, photographer, and young filmmaker, I often stress about different things that I'm doing or the shots that I didn't get, especially as a videographer. Like for myself, I want to run around the whole entire place and get every single shot and get every single person laughing and smiling and crying, anything, you know, but it's not possible, you know, to do that. So it's definitely nice to hear that, not to stress out. I want to say thank you so much to Nicole, Ashley, Kylie, and Sophia for just coming on this panel today. I think I emailed everyone here in about January to mid-January and wanted to ensure that they were free, because as they said, when they're booked and busy, it's 24/7, and I knew I had to go in early to make sure that they could not take any jobs. And so I really appreciate the time everyone took today to be here and to share everything that you're doing. It really means a lot to me as a very emerging filmmaker myself, and director and writer, not cinematographer yet, but maybe who knows one day, you know. Thank you. I really appreciate everyone's time and attentiveness and asking such amazing questions. So thank you all, and I can't wait to see you again.